Let's take a look at the goodies. Futures failed to break out above the 48.0375 resistance, although we did test it. Failure to break there out there on the 15-minute probably means a small pullback into tomorrow, or maybe in the overnight session. I would say 47.90 around here. This was a pretty important level previously, and then maybe retest in the morning session tomorrow or into the early part of tomorrow. I don't think we have very important data tomorrow, but we do have the 3-year auction with a $70 billion offering, and if that were to print a tail, I think that could have a pretty dramatic impact on volatility. GME down today, finally slipped below delta neutral. Goodbye bulls. Upstart still chopping around delta neutral, but getting a lot of tailwinds from Nvidia running like crazy. That tends to pressure bots, and it dries up short liquidity, which is obviously a big problem when trying to short something as illiquid as Upstart. So maybe be careful trying to short this for a little bit until some of this rally calms down. I think we saw about $5 billion of delta per minute today, right? Okay, something like that. So that was something. I mean, that was a hell of a pump. I'm glad I was on the right side of it. Fubo moved up a little bit today. No real change in liquidity. I guess over time it's getting slightly more illiquid, but they're also like covering on IWO, so it's really hard to say how illiquid it's getting. Remember, we have ETF FTDs this week, so that could spark a little bit more covering, and maybe we'll see 350 or the upside of 350 before the end of this week. Sirius still just a $5.50 stable coin. Top really shorting the out of it today. Big move in liquidity, just slamming it into the ground and getting literally nothing out of it. Actually moved up 6 cents over the prior close. That's kind of interesting. I don't know if I've really seen that excessive of an amount of shorting without any downside price movement, but I would say most of the volume today, the 1.6 million volume today was short, which means it's not only is it getting extremely illiquid, their ability to short is running into like pretty severe diminishing returns. When you're shorting this much and the price is going up, that's usually not a good sign, especially if you're the one shorting. Upstart liquidity continued down. We got a little bit earlier in the day. We had a little bit of covering, but that kind of went away. Tips are actually contracting again into the end of the day, though. So it's possible that we're gonna move into another period of covering here on Upstart now that it's off reg show. And the last period of covering saw it run about 60%. I would say that this isn't quite as illiquid as it was towards the back end of November, but it is pretty illiquid. And if we keep getting that pressure, especially from R2K, we may see shorts forced to capitulate here, especially ones that are short, in this range where we do see a significant drawdown in liquidity. Hold on, let me go back to the daily so you can see this a little better. But these shorts are kind of fucked, as are any shorts that occurred during the reg show period. Because remember, it was on reg show during this entire run, and they shorted it the whole time. That's reminiscent of GameStop, especially because the run was so large from bottom to top, like 100%. Shorting through the entirety of that with synthetic liquidity means that there's some potential. I don't think it's exactly 100%, but some amount of the 162 million volume traded in that period of time, probably greater than 50%, is sold short synthetically. So that could have a pretty interesting impact. We'll see how it goes, but I mean, it is starting. It could be several more days for that to collapse, but it is looking like that's the way it's headed. Yeah, I know this is beyond. Whatever. Yeah, we're talking about beyond. What else for today? Broad commodities down. China had a rough night. Dollar still edging up against that 102.50 resistance. I guess pulled back a bit, but yields didn't pull back as much this time on the rejection as they did on the prior one. I think we're still likely to see a breakout in yields and the dollar before we know it. The short position on treasuries has been growing quite a lot and keeping yields down while they get shorted massively, probably pretty difficult. Core 1 month and 3 month turning around sharply today, which should be expected given the frequency of volatility shorting and the sheer scope of it. Carry trade, not really well leaned into, I guess, a little bit towards the end of the day, but was mostly breaking down up until that point. The forward yield on volatility tapped near its prior high at negative 0.97 and pulled back to negative 5.63. This is, however, over time, getting closer and closer to positive, and the yield curve. One of the things that the forward yield of volatility being positive infers is that we are entering a recession. Like, I think it's like within 3 to 6 months after it moves positive. Move, I don't think is updated yet. Skew down a little bit today. Frankly, I would have expected to see a larger move in that given how hard we pushed up. Jesus Christ. Vol shorting now at all-time highs? Well, not vol shorting, but the correlation between VIX cash and VIX futures is at the lowest level by almost 13% that it has ever been. Holy I don't have enough puts, do I, Dork? What was it back here? Hold on. In 2010, before the flash crash, it hit negative 30%, and we're at negative 40. Huh. Okay, anyway, lastly, 52.88% of the SPX still below its 20-day moving average. I feel like that should be better. Maybe that hasn't updated yet. Yeah, give that a minute. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Have a good night, everybody. Later.